The meeting to order.
Davis. Here. Mr. Gould is absent. Mrs. Gustafson. Here. Mr. Harmon.
Here.
Mr. Hemmer.
Here.
Mr. Muldowney.
Here.
Mr. Nebel.
Here.
Ms. Parker. Here. Mr. Pavlak is absent. Mr. Penhollow.
Here.
Mr. Proctor, absent. Mrs. Rankin. Here. Mr. Scudder is absent. Mr. Torres.
Here.
Ms. Vanstrom. Here. Mr. Whitford.
Here.
Mr. Wilfong.
Here.
Chairman Shagnon.
Here.
Okay. There are 15 members present and 4 absent. There is quorum.
Okay, next on the agenda, we'll have the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance by Legislator Penhollow.
Privilege to serve our residents. We thank you for the freedoms we enjoy so much. We pray for unity. We thank you for our men and women who have provided us this freedom and sacrificed so much. We ask that you protect our first responders and service personnel. Lord, we pray for vision in our ability to lead our county. We thank you for our blessings, and we ask unity during this meeting. We ask
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, that brings us to the first privilege of the floor. Members of the public may comment on any subject relating to any local law, resolution, or motion which appears on tonight's agenda. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes, and comments representing a group shall be limited to 5 minutes. Is there anyone wishing to address the first privilege of the floor? Legislator Vanstrom.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. On behalf of Town of Ellicott Supervisor Janet Bowman and the board, I would like to support Resolution 291-22, use of the 2% occupancy tax funds for acquisition of a near-shore cleanup equipment that would greatly help District 15 in the lower basin and also other areas of the lake, and I appreciate everybody's support on that. Thank you so much.
Okay. Legislator Harmon.
We just need to approve the minutes, sir. That's all.
Okay. Thank you. We will come back to that.
Okay.
Anyone else wishing to address the first privilege of the floor? Legislator Parker.
I actually wanted to make my own commendation for Christine Schuyler. Should that be during commendations or now during first privilege?
If you might, anyone else to address the first privilege of the floor? Seeing no one, we will then back up, as Legislator Harmon so graciously points out, to the approval of the minutes of the October 26th meeting of the legislature. Legislator Harmon makes a motion to approve, seconded by Legislator Bankowski. Any discussion on the motion to approve the minutes?
All right. There are no veto messages from County Executive Wendell from the October 26, 2022 meeting.
Okay, and at this time on our agenda, we will have a commendation for Christine Schuyler, and it will be presented by the County Executive, P.J. Wendell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Office of County Executive, Chautauqua County, New York. A letter of commendation, whereas Christine L. Schuyler began her career with Chautauqua County on July 7, 2008, as the Public Health Director for the Chautauqua County Department of Public Health, and whereas she took on the dual role of Commissioner of Social Services of June of 2011, and the Department of Public Health and Department of Social Services began its merger into the Department of Health and Human Services. And whereas on November 29, 2012, she was then appointed as Director of the Chautauqua County Department of Health and Human Services. And whereas throughout her tenure, Mrs. Schuyler has upheld the department's mission of building a healthy, safe, and strong community, promoting the health of all county residents, and providing essential human services. And whereas Mrs. Schuyler has also improved the health and human service delivery and actively championed education and awareness efforts to improve the health and safety of Chautauqua County residents. And whereas she has helped identify and address priority community needs, such as mental and infant health, childhood lead poisoning, child and adult abuse and neglect, mental health and substance misuse, and housing and health equity. And whereas Mrs. Schuyler further collaborated with numerous agencies, not-for-profits, healthcare providers, businesses, schools, and universities to improve the health and well-being of residents in Chautauqua County. And whereas she has proved exceptional in robust responses to the H1N1 pandemic in 2009 and the global and ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas under Mrs. Schuyler's leadership, the Chautauqua County Health Department was one of the first local health departments to attain registration as a New York State opioid overdose prevention program. And the county was one of the first to implement a child welfare electronic record management system. And whereas Mrs. Schuyler's last day of county employment will be November 28th of 2022, and throughout her 14 years of service, she has worked tirelessly and dedicated to serve the residents of Chautauqua County. Now, therefore, we, Paul M. Wendell Jr., and the Chautauqua County Executive, and Pierre E. Chagnon, Chairman of the County Legislature, do hereby recognize and thank Christine for her outstanding accomplishments and endless contributions in making Chautauqua County a better place to live, work, play, and raise a family. In witness whereof, we have hereto set our hands and caused the seal of the great county of Chautauqua to be affixed the 16th day of November, 2022, signed by
Parker.
Thank you. My name is Susan Parker, and I'm a legislator. I'm also a registered nurse, and I'm from a family of registered nurses, nurse practitioners, and doctors. And I want to thank Christine Schuyler for all of the people in my family and for myself for her tremendous leadership of the Department of Health and Human Services during a very difficult time and for the full 14 years of her leadership. The people of Chautauqua County benefited greatly from your leadership and hard work. Best wishes to you, Ms. Schuyler, and more thanks for your leadership than I could possibly convey. Thank you.
Christine,
If I may,
please.
thank you. I'm humbled. Usually, everyone knows I can talk off the cuff pretty good, but I had to write some words down tonight. I've honestly tried to give all I have to improve the health and well-being of those in Chautauqua County, and I'm so blessed to be surrounded by so many great people. My heartfelt appreciation goes to my colleagues, my fellow department heads, and those partners internally and externally throughout the county, and especially to the directors and Sherry Rader, my right arm, and the staff of the Department of Health and Human Services. What amazing people we have here, and this county is very lucky to have them. Particularly, I also must recognize Dr. Robert Burke, and former County Executive Greg Edwards, who got me started in public health and county government, and then former County Executive Vince Horrigan, all for their faith in me and my decisions in my ability to lead both the health department and social services. My husband, John, who's here tonight, our family and friends.
Okay. Olivia?
Okay. There are 5 communications listed on the agenda. Are there any items you wish to have read aloud? Please contact our office if you would like a copy of any of these items. Okay. Local law intro number 12-22, a local law amending the Chautauqua County Code of Ethics.
Are there any questions or comments on local law introductory 12-22? Any questions? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bankowski.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Gould is absent. Mrs. Gustafson. Mr. Harmon.
Yes.
Mr. Hemmer.
Yes.
Mr. Muldowney.
Yes.
Mr. Nebel.
Yes.
Ms. Parker. Mr. Pavlak is absent. Mr. Penhallow.
Yes.
Mr. Proctor is. Mr. Torres. Ms. Vanstrom. Mr. Whitford.
Yes.
Mr. Wilfong.
Yes.
Chairman Shagnon.
Yes.
There are 15 yes votes and 4 absent. The local law is adopted. Local Law Introductory 13-22. A local law amending Local Law 8-02 of the County of Chautauqua adopting the alternative veterans exemption of county real property taxes.
Are there any questions, comments, discussion on local law introductory 13-22? Legislator Bankowski.
Yes, sir. I just want to commend Legislator Parker. I mean, she did a whole lot of work for this. Myself being a veteran, when she first brought this forward, I was hesitant at first because I thought maybe we could use this support.
Thank you. Legislator Rankin.
Happy to support these in favor of the veterans. They deserve our consideration and our thanks. And if we can do something to help make their lives a little better, then I'm happy to.
Mentioned that a veteran or an active duty constituent of mine contacted me about this. So he brought this to my attention, and I think that was really an important piece of it. And that the other thing I wanted to comment on is that this law has not been, the amounts, the exemption amounts have not been changed in 20 years, since 2002.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bankowski.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Gould is absent. Mrs. Gustafson. Mr. Harmon.
Yes.
Mr. Hemmer.
Yes.
Mr. Muldowney.
Yes.
Mr. Nebel.
Yes.
Ms. Parker. Mr. Pavlik is absent. Mr. Penhallow.
Yes.
Mr. Proctor is absent. Mrs. Rankin. Mr. Scudder is absent. Mr. Torres. Ms. Vanstrom. Mr. Whitford.
Yes.
Mr. Wilfong.
Yes.
Chairman Shagnon.
Yes.
There are 15 yes votes and 4 absent. The resolution is the local law is adopted. Local law intra-county real property taxes.
Are there any comments, any questions on local law introductory 14-22? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bankowski.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Gould is absent. Mrs. Gustafson. Mr. Harmon.
Yes.
Mr. Hemmer.
Yes.
Mr. Muldowney.
Yes.
Mr. Nebel.
Yes.
Ms. Parker. Mr. Pavlik is absent. Mr. Penhallow.
Yes.
Mr. Proctor is absent. Mrs. Rankin. Mr. Scudder is absent. Mr. Torres. Ms. Vanstrom. Mr. Whitford.
Yes.
Mr. Wilfong.
Yes.
Chairman Shagnon.
Yes.
There are 15 yes votes and 4 absent. The local law is adopted. Amend Resolution FY23.
Legislator Bankowski.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we renew and amend resolution number 258-22.
Just to clarify, your motion is to renew the resolution.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second to the motion? Second by Legislator Harmon. Is there any discussion on the motion to renew Resolution 258-22? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Legislator Harmon.
Make a motion to amend.
Resolution 258-22.
Okay, we have,
Okay. 272-22.
oh, thank you. So we have the motion now renewed and amended and on the floor for discussion. Thank you, Patrick.
I'm not going to support the appointments for, that we're putting in the resolution for tonight. I did confirm the appointments last month, but I don't think we should have businesses on this commission to tell us on how we should run our landfill.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments?
Two na- okay.
And the resolution is adopted.
Station user fees.
Any comments, any questions on the resolution? Legislator Bankowski.
Yes, I feel that this resolution is gonna have a negative impact on the city of Dunkirk. I know the amount that we're talking about may seem minuscule at $3 a ton, but the city of Dunkirk, and I'm not sure about the city of Jamestown, but we have a lot of senior citizens that are on a fixed income, and we have a lot of people that live below the poverty level, and I think this will have a negative impact on our people in the city of Dunkirk, so I will be voting no.
Any other questions, comments, discussion on the resolution?
I will be voting no also for the same reasons.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, discussion? Legislator Nebel.
Mr. Chairman, the landfill is a enterprise fund, and by increasing these user fees, it will make this enterprise fund viable. So I will be voting in favor of it.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions on the resolution? Legislator Harmon.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, discussion on the resolution? Hearing none. All those in, 3 nays. The resolution. Comments, any questions on the resolution? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
275-22.
Discussion, any questions on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
276-22. Amend 2023 budget for ATI pre-trial award.
Are there any comments, any discussion on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
277-22. Authorize agreements between Chautauqua County EMS, CCEMS, and the Village of Brockton, Village of Cassadaga, Village of Mayville, and Village of Westfield for ALS, BLS joint pre-hospital service agreements.
Any comments, any questions on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
278-22. Authorize agreements between Chautauqua County EMS, CCEMS, and the fire districts of Asheville, Cherry Creek, Ellery Center, Ellington, Hartfield, Kyantone, and Ripley for ALS-BLS joint pre-hospital service agreement.
Any comments? Opposed? Carried.
279-22. FY 2022 Emergency Management Performance Grant, EMPG.
Any comments or questions on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
280-22. Amend 2022 budget to implement the Jail Needs Assessment Project within the Chautauqua County American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, spending plan.
Any comments on any questions on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
281-22. Authorize execution of NYS Office of Homeland Security State Law Enforcement Terrorism Prevention Program Grant, FY22.
Any discussion, any questions on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
282-22. Authorize execution of NYS Office of Homeland Squad Initiative Program, FY20.
Any comments, any questions on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
283-22. Authorize MOU with the Federal Bureau of Investigation for joint operation participation.
Any comments, any questions on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
284- there's a typo on the agenda, sorry. 284-22. Authorize execution of NYS Office of Homeland Security Funding Grant, Operation Stone Garden, FY22.
Any comments on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
285-22, Office of Homeland Security, Team FY20.
Any questions, comments on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
286-22, Authorize Agreement with Town of Hanover for Enhanced Police Protection Services, FY23.
Are there any questions or comments on the resolution? Say aye. Opposed? Carried.
287-22, Amend 2022 Budget for Office of the Sheriff.
Any discussion, any questions on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
288-22, Authorize Lease Agreement with Town of Chautauqua for Academy Office Space.
Any comments or questions on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
289-22, Amend Chautauqua County Health and Human Services 2022 Adopted Budget for Actual Youth Bureau Allocations Received.
Any comments or questions on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
290-22, Appropriations to include funds received in cooperation with Erie 2 Chautauqua Cattaraugus Vocational and Officers Preventing Stop School Violence Program, SSV Program allocation. And I will note there's a typo in this resolution. In the increase revenue account, instead of account R449.0000, the account should be R277.0000.
Okay, we'll treat that change as a typo. Legislator Whitford.
Actually, I propose that we make an amendment to this, that we change the R449.0000 to R277.0000, and instead of federal aid, it should be miscellaneous, because the funds actually go to BOCES and then pass through the county. So I would suggest that we amend this resolution to correct that.
Legislator Bankowski has a second. 290. Any discussion on the motion to amend? Hearing none, all those in favor of amending, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The resolution is amended. Now, on to the discussion of Resolution 290-22 as amended. And thank you for that amendment, Paul. Any comments or questions on the resolution as amended? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
291-22, Use of 2022 2% occupancy tax funds for acquisition of near-shore cleanup equipment.
Any comments, any questions on the resolution? Legislator Rankin.
I think this is a really important resolution that we should support. We've heard from people who live there, from the Red Celeron. We've heard from the Harbor Hotel management and how it might be affecting their business. So for us to take a stand and support this is one way to ensure the health of the lake, but also the quality of life for the people that live there, and to consider acting and keeping visitors coming to the area. So all the way around, this is a really good resolution, and I support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments or discussion on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Legislator Bankowski, okay, yep.
I would like to make a motion that we block 292-22 through 296-22.
Legislator Vanstrom, we have a second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to block resolutions 292 through 296. All in favor of blocking, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? They are blocked.
292-22, authorize agreement with the County of Chautauqua Industrial Development Agency for business development. Authorize agreement with CCIDA for establishment of Brownfield Revolving Loan Fund. 294-22, authorize agreement with County of Chautauqua Industrial Development Agency for attraction and development of tourism. 295-22, authorize agreement with Small Business Development Center at Jamestown Community College. 296-22, authorize extension of lease agreement for Department of Planning and Development at the BWB Center.
Okay, are there any questions, comments, or discussion on resolutions 292 through 296 on any one of them? Any questions, comments on any of the blocked resolutions? Hearing none. All those in favor of resolutions 292 through 296, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? They are carried.
297-22, amend 2022 budget to increase funds for employee recognition account.
Any comments or questions on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
298-22, distribution of mortgage taxes.
Any questions, any comments on the resolution? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
299-22, authorized transfer of tax foreclosure property to City of Dunkirk Local Development Corporation.
Any discussion, any comments on the resolution? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bankowski.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Gould is absent. Mrs. Gustafson. Mr. Harmon.
Yes.
Mr. Hemmer.
Yes.
Mr. Muldowney.
Yes.
Mr. Nebel.
Yes.
Ms. Parker. Mr. Pavlock is absent. Mr. Penhollow.
Yes.
Mr. Proctor is absent. Mrs. Rankin. Mr. Scudder is absent. Mr. Torres. Ms. Vanstrom. Mr. Whitford.
Yes.
Mr. Wilfong.
Yes.
Chairman Shagnon.
Yes.
There are resolution is adopted. 300-22, authorized transfer of tax foreclosure property to Town of Ripley.
Are there any comments or questions on the resolution? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bankowski.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Gould is absent. Mrs. Gustafson. Mr. Harmon.
Yes.
Mr. Hemmer.
Yes.
Mr. Muldowney.
Yes.
Mr. Nebel.
Yes.
Ms. Parker. Mr. Pavlock is absent. Mr. Penhollow.
Yes.
Mr. Proctor is absent. Mrs. Rankin. Mr. Scudder is absent. Mr. Torres. Ms. Vanstrom. Mr. Whitford.
Yes.
Mr. Wilfong.
Yes.
Chairman Shagnon.
Yes.
There are 15 yes votes and is adopted. 301-22, authorized transfer of tax foreclosure property to Village of Mayville.
Are there any questions or any comments on the resolution? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bankowski.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Gould is absent. Mrs. Gustafson. Mr. Harmon.
Yes.
Mr. Hemmer.
Yes.
Mr. Muldowney.
Yes.
Mr. Nebel.
Yes.
Ms. Parker. Mr. Pavlock is absent. Mr. Penhollow.
Yes.
Mr. Proctor is absent. Mrs. Rankin. Mr. Scudder is absent. Mr. Torres.
Yes.
Ms. Vanstrom. Mr. Whitford.
Yes.
Mr. Wilfong.
Yes.
Chairman Shagnon.
Yes.
There are 15 yes votes and 4 absent. The resolution.
Legislator Bankowski.
I'd like to make a motion that we block 302-22 through 308-22.
Okay, we have a motion to block and a second by Legislator Harmon. Resolutions 3. Hearing none, all those in favor of blocking the resolutions, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? They are blocked.
302-22, making appropriations for the conduct of county government for fiscal year 2023. 303-22, authorized tax levy. 304-22, authorized levy of town taxes. 305-22, authorized levy of unpaid town charges. 306-22, authorized levy of omitted taxes. 307-22, authorized levy of unpaid sewer user charges and civil penalties, North, South, and Center Chautauqua Lake and Portland, Pomfret, Dunkirk sewer districts. 308-22, fixing equalization rates for 2023.
Are there any questions, comments on any of the, any questions or comments on any of them? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bankowski.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Gould is absent. Mrs. Gustafson. Mr. Harmon.
Yes.
Mr. Hemmer.
Yes.
Mr. Muldowney.
Yes.
Mr. Nebel.
Yes.
Ms. Parker. Mr. Pavlock is absent. Mr. Penhollow.
Yes.
Mr. Proctor is absent. Mrs. Rankin. Mr. Scudder is absent. Mr. Torres. Ms. Vanstrom. Mr. Whitford.
Yes.
Mr. Wilfong.
Yes.
Chairman Shagnon.
Yes.
There are 15 yes votes and 4 absent. The resolutions are adopted.
Okay, that brings us to announcements on the agenda. Are there any announcements from the legislators for the good of the order? Legislator Bankowski.
Yes, I'm Downey, down for our Christmas on Central Avenue, which is also Small Business Saturday Holiday Market from 2 to 7 p.m. They'll be held right at City Hall in the Stearns Building in Stearns Court. And then we'll have the lighting of the city's Christmas tree at 7 p.m.
And when will that be held?
That is Saturday, November 26th.
Thank you.
Who's playing Santa Claus? You or Muldowney?
Well, Kevin fits the suit a little better than I.
Ho, ho, ho!
Mr. Bankowski will be Mrs. Santa Claus.
I'll be a little elf.
If he identifies that way.
Okay, are there any other announcements? Legislator
Davis.
Davis.
Yes. I'd like to welcome everybody to, or invite everybody to Frewsburg on Saturday, November 26th, where the old-fashioned horse-drawn Christmas parade will be happening. All floats will be pulled by either tractors or horses, and Blue Building after the parade.
Okay, thank you. Other announcements? Legislator Hemmer.
The village, and there are, Santa comes to town on Friday night, and there's the Sunday, there's the Holly Tour in Westfield. And carriage rides both Saturday and Sunday.
Thank you. Other announcements? Any other announcements? Seeing none, that brings us to the second privilege of the floor. Members of the public may comment on any subject. A member of the legislature may speak on any subject. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes, and comments representing a group shall be limited to 5 minutes. Is there anyone wishing to address the second privilege of the floor? Anyone to address the second privilege of the floor? Seeing no one,
Since my good friend Mr. Gould is not here, I would like to speak on his behalf and would like to make a motion to adjourn.
I don't know that we can adjourn without Legislator Gould. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn by Legislator Bankowski and a second by Legislator Harmon.